We're streaming now. Welcome to the channel. We got a new guest, everyone. I guess we'll just start off with an introduction. Your name is Jade, right?
Yeah, my name's Jade. I call myself the urban conservative because I'm into urban design and I'm also conservative.
You do design? Like, what kind of
Urban
design?
design, like into cities and how
Oh,
cities are
wow,
laid out and
wow.
designed
That's very
and the
interesting.
policy surrounding it.
I heard you say an interesting comment before. I definitely want to talk about this a little bit. You were talking about transgender care in conservative states and red states.
It's a weird thing to discuss because a lot of trans people don't even like hearing it, and a lot of conservatives don't like knowing that trans care is so good in their state. But I'll start off with like the facts. If you're trying to transition in a red state, it takes 3 years. If you're trying to transition in a blue state, it takes 6 years. There's like a variety of reasons for it. But do you have any questions to
I'm
start
listening
off with
to it.
that
No, I'm
statement?
just. Is it because the insurance is better? Is it because the healthcare is better in red states, or like in the insurance in general, or what about it makes it a faster process? Is it just the
What makes it
legislation
a
that they
faster?
passed?
Um, I'm not entirely sure. All I know is that I moved to a red state to transition because the care here is just absolutely a million times better. And the state I was from before, Colorado, it takes years just to actually get in with a trans doctor because Democrats have written legislation to allow basically any doctor to prescribe you HRT. And that's actually really damaging because any doctor can't just draw your labs and see your hormone levels. So liberal states are just throwing HRT at anyone who presents as vaguely trans, if that makes sense. Whereas in red states, I had to go to my doctor and say, like, hey, I'm having a lot of stuff going on. Um, and then at the time, I was going through puberty and I was getting facial hair, and I was like, not for me. Something bad is going on, and something's up with my brain. And she's like, I got a person for this. It's called an endocrinologist, which is a hormone doctor, which is what red states require you to go to get on HRT, which is what you need to not cause damage. So I went to the hormone doctor, and he did a ton of questions on me, and he actually needed a um,
A lot of people in the
yeah, like
comment
a quick
section are
psych
saying
eval.
that a lot of people are saying you can get your hormones level tested at any doctor, but obviously an endocrinologist specializes in this specific field.
And in blue states, another thing is like it's hard to even like just have a regular doctor. So most trans girls are going to Planned Parenthood, which cannot draw labs.
So do you think it's also because of the oversaturation, like you mentioned before, of them giving everyone HRT that's even somewhat into the trans identity? Do you think that's part of the waiting period, or is it just because they have to go through like, did you have to go through like a conversation with a therapist or like a person like in that kind of field?
So in red states, yeah, you have to get a psychological evaluation to even basically start the HRT. So what that does is it creates a barrier of entry where people who are just doing it to damage themselves or people who aren't gonna like pull it off aren't really eligible to. So it's better for society, in my opinion, because there's an emphasis in the medical system itself on passing, which is not there in blue states, which makes basically no sense to me because why would you want to transition and end up in the middle? But that's another thing. Red states don't do any gender nonsense. So that's why blue states, they'll be like, oh, red states are fucking up our rights, blah, blah, blah. Well, it's because they transition using gender legislation, which is something that blue states introduced and is unconstitutional. Sex based treatment is constitutional, where you get your sex changed on your birth certificate, which is what red states do. It's a whole process, but it's safer because you could travel internationally and you could travel to red states, blue states, wherever you want. And ultimately, red states, they provide you, after about 3, 4 years or so, the ability to pass. and not be
You've said a
clocked
lot
and
so
not have
far.
to
Can I ask some
participate.
questions, not to interrupt the conversations? But you said
Yeah,
they passed some kind of legislation based on what was the word for it? Gender something. I don't want to make a mistake.
yeah. So I'm not exactly sure like when they passed the legislation, but if you're in a
What
blue
is it
state
based on?
and you're
What's the
trying
difference?
to
Go ahead.
get a sex change operation, your only choice is to identify as transgender. So if you're in a blue state and you're transsexual, which is the more like traditional version of trans, that like cared about not being clocked and fitting into society, and usually transitioned because they'd be a better fit as the opposite sex.
As far as
Um,
can I interject as well? As far as the term transsexual, I thought that was kind of put away with because science and people have decided that you can. You know, I've heard conflicting arguments from trans people. Some of them say you can change your sex. Some of them just say you can change your gender. And that's why I think the word transsexual has kind of just dissipated away. Like this is the first time I've heard it in a while. But what is your opinion on that?
my opinion is that um, transgender, it kind of makes no sense to me because they're making up gender stuff, which is identity in the brain. Whereas like the transsexual legislation just meant like, hey, here's a medical system so that you can pass as the opposite gender. And if you do pass, we could give you the legal status of that sex, basically. Whereas at this point, blue states, they only give the legal status of gender, which is not acknowledged internationally and not acknowledged in red states. Gender
So
is more of
you're
your
Go ahead.
perceived identity, if that makes sense, how you feel in your head. Whereas sex is, in a definition sense, purely biological. Of course, everyone's going to say this, and they're right. It's DNA, but functionally,
I
it's
realize you
appropriate to
can
make the
change.
legal
Yeah,
change.
I realize you can make the legal change of your sex in some states. You can change your birth certificate in California. You can change your driver's license in some areas. But beyond that, do you think that you have changed your sex, or is it just more of a gender thing?
I'm changing my sex currently. I'm in the process. I'm only like a year and a half deep. I got a little delayed because I got kidnapped at one point, but I'm doing good and I'm on my way there. I'm not going to say I'm there yet because I don't know. I still feel clockable, as the trans people say. But, you know, one day I'm going to be there and it's the best fit for me. So that's where I'm headed.
I know you said you came from Colorado. What red state did you say you were in, if I may ask?
Missouri, Missouri.
Missouri. And they have better
Mm-hmm.
care for transgenders than Colorado?
110%. Colorado, it takes years just to get your levels or just to get like a simple face
But you can go to
surgery
any
or a
doctor
bottom
to get your
surgery.
levels checked. Like you can
But
go
it
to
takes
your
time.
primary physician.
It takes time and they can't test for specific levels like your total testosterone and total estrogen levels are the levels that like we really need to make changes on testosterone and estrogen.
Yeah, you can
Whereas
do
like the
your
normal doctor could
testosterone, not to
pull.
interrupt, but you can even do a testosterone test and estrogen test. I think you can even do it by mail now, but I think you'd have to draw your own blood. But I've seen some private companies that do it for like $100 or $50. But the chat definitely wants to hear about the kidnapping story without getting too gruesome or violent or anything like that. If you can share it, they definitely want to hear this.
So I moved to St. Louis, right? And I've always been like a super hard worker, worked 3 jobs. I expected the job market here to be awesome, but it was not. I forgot this is like a poverty, segregation city with all the issues. So I finally got a job after a whole month of searching, and it was a job at a phone repair joint. And about a few weeks into there, the boss man is like, "Hey, do you know anyone that sells drugs?" And I'm like, well, yeah, you know, I have a friend because it's St. Louis, of course. You know, just your neighbor sells drugs, probably. And that's literally my neighbor sell drugs. So I was like, you know, I got a friend I could hook you up with, and he's like, perfect, because I am trying to traffic an insane amount. I'm like, huh? So I hook him up with my friend just because I wanted like the bonus because he was gonna give me a bonus to my paycheck. I'm like, fuck yeah. So I hook him up with my friend, and then he tells me he's mafia, and this guy was like super Democrat too. That was the funniest part. He would sit there every day in the store selling drugs out the front register, like these fake Adderalls. They called them Reds. They go for $2 a pop, and they are like salt-based Adderalls. He would sell those out of the fucking register and have Hassan Piker playing in the back. It was the most hypocritical shit I ever seen. He would talk about Palestine all day. So I'm like, whatever. And yeah, he told me his mafia. I'm like, what did I get myself into? And one day a dude comes in my work, and this is a bit earlier on in my transition, and I fixed his key fob that he had, and then he calls me and he's like, well, he called the place and he's like, are you a fucking guy or a girl? And I'm like, look, I'm a dude at this point. And he's like, so are you sexually active? I'm like, I'm single. Should have had red flags at that point, right? So then I have him over a few times for like a couple weeks. I think things are going well. I think I'm like starting to date this guy. And I'm also having my other friend over,
If
the one
he's
that sold
mafia,
drugs
why would you ever let
occasionally.
him come over?
This guy wasn't mafia. He was just a customer that came into the store that I was working at that was mafia.
Okay.
Um, so then um, um, one day, like he caught me sad on the phone or something, and I'm like, then I spilled the beans. I was like, I got tricked into working for the mafia. This is some bullshit. Um, and then I had my friend over at the time because he was crashing on my couch because he got kicked out of his place next door. And he's like, hey, well, hit up your friend. I need 400 Zans. So I gave him my friend's number, and then it was an obvious robbery. So my friend wasn't my friend anymore because he's like, why are you trying to get me robbed? And then at that point, he's living with me still, though. So we're trying to like be cool and stuff. And he got laced at that point. So he already had schizophrenia, which was like under control. But
Yeah.
Jiggas, Jiggas are this drug in St. Louis that are used to be Molly pills before I moved here, but then after I moved here, they gradually started transitioning and being um, meth based over time. Like it had
Yeah,
more
that
more
same thing.
meth,
I've never
less and
taken
less
those drugs,
Molly.
but I've heard about this from like all areas of the country. I've never taken Molly or MDMA, but I know that it has been slowly, basically turning to meth. I know a bunch of people that tried to take MDMA before, and it was literally just meth.
Yeah, so he tried because MDMA is actually really good treatment for schizophrenia. If you have no medical care, works like a charm, voices go right off. So he would take it occasionally. And he also got like broken up with his fiance. That's a whole nother story. She was like a Ukrainian Italian oligarch. What the fuck? Um, but he was big sad, and he just had a mental breakdown off the meth, off the schizophrenia, off of a fiance breakup, and he like took my gun and like pistol whipped me and held me there like
Was
at
this the
gunpoint for like
this was a
3
customer that was
months.
coming to the store, or was this the mafia
No,
guy?
that was my friend who was selling for the mafia guy at that point. So then the dude who so while I was hostage, the other dude broke in to my place um, while I was gone, and then I came back. I'm like, why the fuck are you breaking in? Like, you failed the robbery, so why are you trying to come in here and take nothing? And he's like, actually, I was a GD scoping out the place, and I'm actually supposed to be like robbing the shit out of this place
So
because we knew that
is
they
he
were
mafia
mafia.
or is he a gangster disciple?
He's a gangster disciple, and he was scoping out the mafia locations so that they could rob the mafia. Then he's like, but I caught feelings for you. I, man, get your ass on. I didn't want to have nothing to do with any of them, any of it. So I was able to like get kicked out, but not have an eviction on my record by like fucking with the system with my landlord. So I had the paperwork to show the dude who held me hostage, like oh, we're getting kicked out. And then I had family show up, like 4 or 5 of them, so they could come grab my stuff and get me out of that place, and then leave. And then I haven't seen him since, but he actually gave me an infectious disease while I was held hostage. Well, no, I have seen him since a couple times.
What
Um,
infectious
but he gave me
disease?
fucking.
Like
It's called
HIV,
MRSA.
AIDS, MRSA? I think I've heard of that
No,
before.
worse. It's
MRSA
worse
is
than
worse than
HIV or AIDS.
HIV?
Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing. It's curable, unlike HIV, which is good because I just cured myself. That was when I was sick. It was another MRSA episode, but essentially MRSA is methicillin resistant staphylococcus,
So it's a
which
staph
basically
infection, basically.
it's a staph infection that's super powered because it evolved when someone gave a bunch of antibiotics to somebody that's actively on meth. It's like the only way to evolve MRSA in the wild is to take a bunch of penicillin while on meth, right?
Is
So this
that
dude
so?
generated MRSA.
Okay. So he was taking meth
Yeah.
and with penicillin.
So he generated the MRSA, and then he took my razor, like super quick, like while he was doing something. Like I bought him a razor, but he didn't want to use it because he's a shithead. So he like grabbed my razor from the sink and quickly did something with himself, and then I went and did it afterwards. And from there, I had face lesions, massive face lesions. Like, um, I can't even
Did it
describe it,
come
but I
back
felt
when
like
you
a
got
zombie.
sick? Does it come back when you got sick again? Like, is it in your body dormant?
Yes. So this is actually a really weird one. The MRSA itself, it can colonize weird objects like animals and stuff like that. So I was able to decolonize, like get rid of the bacteria entirely with everything in my house. I was able to find the correct antibiotics, which is another thing. It takes a 5 panel antibiotic screen. It takes so long to figure out like how to fight the MRSA. Um, but it turns out the way I got reinfected was because it colonized my laptop heatsink because I fixed my laptop while I was sick. Like I opened it up and replaced the battery. So the fucking heatsink has tons of dust, like unlimited amounts of dust. That's
Do you
my
have to get your
dust.
whole house deep cleaned then?
Yes, multiple times like a week.
Wow, that's
Um,
terrible.
yeah, so basically, moral of the story is don't throw antibiotics at homeless people because it'll cause MRSA.
I
Additionally, I do
mean,
want to
someone said
mention the
it's very
MRSA
hard to
outbreak.
get rid of MRSA with antibiotics. It's very difficult.
I had to do so much shit. Like it wasn't just the antibiotics. I also had to do like woo shit with drinking hella red onions and just like strange workouts, the whole nine.
Someone
It's
said
been an
MRSA can
absolute
even live in
nightmare.
your nostrils for years and you'll never know.
That's called being a MRSA carrier, and that shit is terrifying too. So for me, like the process of decolonization and treatment is like you need to do a special antibiotic ointment in your nose, your ears. Um, Obviously, like no wig, no fucking makeup, no nothing. Like so, I felt terrible myself. Um, and you have to take oral antibiotics as well. I was on the doxycycline, and that shit is so harsh. Like you can't even stand up off that stuff. Um, it's it's like the harshest antibiotic that I know of. Um, and I only had to do a 10-day course this time, but last time I had to do 40 days. And it absolutely took everything out of me. I looked like a cancer patient, is what people were
Yeah,
telling
that's
me.
terrible.
Um,
That's terrible.
um,
I hope I hope you got rid of it this time. But I have a question,
yes,
relating to the trans community. Do you think that you politically align with someone like Blair White? Like, do you think your beliefs and you guys are like similar in some ways?
definitely. I think Blair White's chill. She's pretty
Like, how do
cool.
you feel about Trump, and how do you feel about all the stuff he's done, all the legislation he's done with transgenders?
I support Trump. The
What
legislation
do you
he's
think
done with
about like
transgender,
what do you like? I'll go one by one. What do you think about keeping trans women out of women's sports? What do you think about that one?
Duh. The fun.
Okay, you think duh. Okay, we agree there. So obviously, no
Duh.
trans
I
women
got
in.
big bones, dude. Imagine me trying to play ball against some girls. I'm like 5'3", but I still wouldn't be like a fair match with other 5'3" girls. You know what I mean? It. Mm-mm. Here's one thing though, devil's advocate, right? How come? How come? All right. If that's a big deal, why aren't we making a big deal about trans men in the featherweight division?
Oh,
Because
that
they
shouldn't
got
be
light
allowed
ass
either. I
bones
think they're both. I
and
think they're
quick
both
ass
banned.
punches.
No, I think they're both banned. No, yeah, I
Yes,
think they're
yes,
both banned.
agreed.
Uh, but as far as what do you think about the military? Like no transgenders in the military. How do you feel about that one?
I'm not gonna get drafted. Fuck yeah.
Okay. How about trans women in women's bathrooms? I know a lot of red states have laws and legislation against it. In my state, it's illegal. In Florida, it's illegal. I think in Utah, it's illegal, and I think one other state it's illegal in. I think it's three total red states.
I don't know, dude. To be honest, I don't go in public. I just wait till I get home. If that makes sense. I plan my
No, it
trips
does make sense. I don't go
around
in
it.
public either, and I tell people that all the time, and they look at me and they're like, "What? You don't go in public?" I'm like, "No, those bathrooms are
Exactly.
nasty. Why would I go to the bathroom
I
in the
ain't go in
public?"
public before. So the only time I've ever had an issue was actually in the men's bathroom. I tried to go into the men's bathroom at the Arch in downtown St. Louis when I was there, like doing some like tourism stuff. And like this old guy was like, "Hey, you can't be in here," and I was like, I just walked out. I didn't want to argue with him or nothing, but
But have you ever had the
it
same
was
thing happen
funny.
to you in the women's bathroom or no?
No, because I don't go in there. It's not my
Okay.
until I have a sex change operation. I don't think that should even be legal, if that makes sense. Because
What
like
about after a
before you
sex
have,
change operation? I mean, I know some transgender people that are less passing than you and they've had sex change operations. Should they be able to go into the women's bathrooms? Because they certainly think so.
you need to be passing and you need to not have a weapon in your pants. Simple as. That's why sex change legislation with having it in
Well,
your birth certificate
who
is
gets to decide what's passing? Some people would even some people would say nothing is passing. That's some people's
the
opinions.
courts.
Even though they can't tell the difference if you
You're
show
gonna
them a
love this.
photo, but
You're gonna love this so much. The courts in Missouri, how it works is, give me a second. I mean, pull up, but actually, like a group of people decides if you pass or not. So, in order to get the sex marker, you need a psych eval, a background check, like a criminal background check, and you need a passing face, body, and genitalia. Obviously, the court doesn't have to look at your genitalia. That's ridiculous.
so how do they
But
know
you
if
need
it's
a court
passing or not
order.
then?
A group of people says so from the public of
Without
Missouri.
seeing it? Without seeing it?
Well,
They'll
okay,
change
imagine you
your
get called to
sex on your
jury duty.
ID in Missouri?
Well, you need to get the court order and you need to send that to the hospital that you were born at, and it will give you a revised um, a birth certificate at that point. And the court order is very important to me because what it means is like if I don't win the court order, it just means I just need to work at passing
So
for
how much
another
money do
year or
you have
two
to go
and come
how
back.
much money does it cost to go to court for this kind of thing? I'm really curious.
I believe it's 300 for the civil court. It's just like a flat fee.
But you don't have to hire a lawyer or anything. You can just represent yourself and tell the judge your case or whatnot.
Yeah.
And
Endocrinologist said it's
this
best if you bring like a parent to testify. If you have like a witness, it makes a big difference. But another reason an endocrinologist is good is because it gives you a base camp to launch off of and go to the separate different doctors for the different surgeries and have access to the courts, access to a social worker, all that kind of dope stuff that you don't get in blue states.
I'm gonna have to give you a little pushback on that. I honestly think that's probably a waste of taxpayer dollars. I mean, you can have your own identity, you can have all that stuff, and that's nice. I mean, if $300, $300 probably isn't going to pay the judge and the entire people to be in the court and the security and all kinds of stuff. I don't know. It just might be like a little bit of waste of like taxpayer dollars, and also transgender people being on certain health care. Like I've heard of regular women having breast cancer and they're not able to get breast reconstruction covered by their insurance, but transgender women sometimes are able to get it covered by their insurance. Like I think some of that
Yeah,
stuff is a little bit messed up.
it's pretty shisty, and I think it's just like old DEI like directives. Because like an example, me and my mom have the same insurance, and she has like fibromyalgia, so she has like real actual pain, like a serious concrete illness, if that makes sense. And all she needs is just like some pain meds and a nerve blocker, which requires a shot. And insurance gives her the runaround for like 5 months with the nerve blocker. But when I told the insurance I'm trans, they're like, pay everything. Let's go. It kind of makes me uncomfortable. I'm not going to lie. I mean, I'm broke as fuck, so I'll take it. But like, doesn't feel right. I'll put it to you like that.
And I also noticed you said something about you started doing your transgender care when you were a teenager or going through puberty. I think that's way too young. I know it makes your like appearance, change a little bit and whatnot, but at the end of the day, I think people should wait until they're at least 18, maybe even up to 25.
Yeah, I waited until I was 20, 22 to make that decision. I definitely had like a severe itch, but
I thought
I
you
just wanted
said
to
that
make
you
sure I
started
wasn't
going through
influenced.
transgender care when you were a teenager.
No,
No? So you're
no,
against that completely?
yeah. I mean, it's
Even if
appropriate to
it's just
identify.
hormones? Even if it's just hormones, no surgery or anything like that, you're still against it?
Yeah, I'm still against it for kids, just because um, the effects, they're just unknown. There's like a ridiculous amount of political stuff going on right now, so giving the option is just very dangerous for a lot of kids. That makes sense. Like there's a lot of Munchausen syndrome people out there, and then there's also a lot of people that don't have a trans person in their life, but we get a ton of social credit from having a trans person in their life. So they'll egg people on, stuff like that. I'm just not very in support of. And truthfully, when I was younger, I was like trying to get into the LGBT community. I was like 12, and I went to like a meeting with this guy that I was dating at the time, and it was just supposed to be like a youth LGBT group, and I go, and it's just all like older men, and they made us all like hold hands, and like I don't know, they were just explaining sex positions, and like ever since then I've never touched any of that community really because
Yeah,
I
that
was just
sounds
kind
like
of,
grooming.
huh?
I said that
Yeah,
sounds
what
like
the
grooming.
fuck?
Like a 12-year-old,
Yeah,
like with grown men, I probably would have
yeah,
called the cops. I would have probably called
yeah.
the
But
cops.
yeah, I come from a super super blue family though, so
Is that what made you become more a little bit on the conservative side, or when did you decide that you were conservative? Because that's definitely rare to see in the transgender community.
when I became an adult, started living in the real world. I started facing a lot of real world challenges, and I started observing like no one makes it without getting one over on the next guy or cheating when they're trying to make a family nowadays. Like the whites, like they be cheating things with disability, okay, or they make it with the union but get one over on the guy that didn't make it in the union. Or like the blacks, right? My homegirl, she gets 1,800 for three baby daddies, 600 from each, and it's like Where are you going to find a man in the wild, in the hood especially, that's going to give you 1,800 a month to make a living? No, it just makes sense to marry the government instead. But you can make it with like a DEI position, for example. But then like the Mexicans, they do the same shit with the baby mama type shit, the tan, but they'll have like the dad just illegal, not on paperwork. So to the government, it just looks like it's a single mother there. So then they're getting the dad's income, the government income, and the mom's income. And like the way that they make it out of that is ownership. But like, I don't know, the Asians, Indians, Jews, other groups, like they got it hard too because they give up their financial independence and housing freedom to even get to that ownership mark. Like they'll straight live together for 2, 3 generations just to try and like touch a smidge of the American dream. And when I saw all that in the real world, I was just like, nah, we got to do better. We got to make family building possible. You know, it's the only way we gonna beat China, for example. They got 4 times our population. We ain't never gonna compete with them 20 years from now unless we start making
Also, they're
children.
really curious. My chat is really, really curious. This was like one of the first questions, but I never got to it. They want to know what kind of insurance on you. Is it Medicaid?
I just private insurance.
Private
I don't
insurance?
I don't believe in public insurance that much. It doesn't seem to work that well. I had dual insurance once, and that was crazy because I would go to the private establishments and they'd be like, "We don't take public insurance," and I go to the public establishments and they'd be like, "We don't take private insurance." Then I go to like the mom and pops establishments, they take both, and I don't have to pay anything. That was awesome, but it kind of showed me that because these insurances don't interface with each other, you could say that this insurance makes as much as state insurance, like, and that like it'll give you yay amount of care, the same exact treatment on paper. But if you're going to the fucking Section 8 village clinic with this one, and you're going to the fucking downtown hospital with this one, obviously this one's better. So that's why I don't really believe in that public health care. Every time I tried to do it, they were just kind of shisty with it. Like I went to this one social clinic in St. Louis, and what they do for like medication refills is they'll give you a 3 month refill, which is a massive amount. But then at the end of the 3 months, you have to do like a check in process in order to get a refill, and it takes a week. So you're off of your meds for a week, psychological medication, just for having state insurance and trying to use the social clinic. You get punished. That's why I stick to private insurance, yo. Like no way. And then the public insurance, it's unaffordable, and that like I really have to fit into a very specific bracket, just kind of like how my baby mama homegirls do, where like I can only get paid $14 an hour at 50 hours a week, and I have to make under a certain amount, and I have to be able to prove it in order to even qualify for the fucking.
How the hell can you even
Uh,
afford and health insurance if you're having all these like financial difficulties?
I'm on my
Because that
parents'
should be
insurance right
like,
now.
okay, okay, fair enough. But can't you only be on your parents' insurance until you're 25? I guess they never asked your age.
Yeah, and I'm 24 right now, so it's gonna cover all my surgeries, and then after that, I'm kind of on my own, but it ain't half bad because in red states they give you a big supply of like all the hormones you need, for example. So it's not like I'm gonna have to detransition if I'm off of insurance. I'm just gonna be like a normal person off of insurance, which kind of sucks, but
So your parents also moved to Missouri then?
yeah, I actually moved out here because they moved here first, and I just needed them really bad after a bad car crash. I got like pit maneuvered and rolled 4 times, and that's where this face comes from. I used to have a different face that was way uglier. This one's like all plastic, um, because I hit my head on the steering wheel. Um, so yeah, I had to be here with them. I couldn't not be with them when I was trying to get myself together from a reconstructed face and
Is that when you developed your
trying to get
trans
a job and
identity after
whatnot.
a bad car crash, or did you develop your trans identity before or after this car crash, or was it like some kind of big traumatic incident? Because lots of the trans people I talked to before, not to stereotype them or anything like that. Most of them have either a situation where they were raped and abused at a younger age, they were having in some kind of abusive relationship, or some kind of traumatic accident or something like that happened.
Oh, for me, I think it was like an abusive relationship. I got by like a gypsy girl when I was like 15 and she was 18. So I stayed with her till I was like, till I turned 21 and she's like 20 something. She was up there basically. And yeah, I just got like groomed basically by like a girl that was an immigrant from another country that just kind of like runs between dudes and just takes them for everything they have and then goes to the next one basically. So like she took me for everything I had, but like what cooked me is who she left me for is her brother, dog.
Her brother? Was she Muslim?
Her brother. No, she's Thai.
So she's an inbreeder.
So
I thought you said she was gypsy. Is she gypsy, Thai, or Muslim?
no, gypsy as in like fucking mover, a runner, goes between dudes, lives at the RV. I'm not talking about the ethnic group. They're chill.
So she was a Thai girl.
A homosexual Thai girl, yeah.
A
And then she
homosexual. That is hilarious. I love that word.
so she like yeah, I should have known because
So
obviously she
she
had
likes
hella
incest
issues.
then.
Well, when I
Like her
met her, she
actual
was
brother?
homeless, and
Like her actual brother, or
yeah,
like someone she
yes,
called her brother?
her real brother, her blood brother,
And she
her
was having
younger blood
relations
brother.
with her blood brother? Sexual
Yes,
relations?
it turns out that they had cut it off previously, but then she like went on a family trip to go see like a funeral for her grandpa, and apparently they rekindled at the grandpa's funeral trip. So after that, I was like, you know what?
Why are you
That thing
laughing?
ain't
What's so
touching no
funny?
one ever again because it's funny. It's a little funny when you take it out of context. You just say like, "Damn."
I mean, someone
I
says
think a lot of
not funny,
stories are like
Graham.
that.
Muslim is your alter ego, your way. I mean, I'm not trying to make any Muslim jokes, but statistically speaking, inbreeding is most common amongst Muslim countries, more than anywhere else in the world. So I wasn't trying to, crack on the Muslims or anything. I'm just talking about statistics. But did that car
Yeah.
accident, once you hurt your back, most people fall into like drugs and pills and they start popping them daily. Did that happen to you, or what was your experience like when they gave you? Because I'm guessing they gave you some kind of pain pills for that injury. Did you get hooked on it, or what was it like?
They gave me like oxy 6 milligrams for like 2 weeks. But I didn't get hooked on it just because I was like I was so hurt that it genuinely just helped the pain. And then the second I was off of it, like I was so in pain that it only helped the pain so much that it was like a 10% help to the pain. So I didn't feel like withdrawals or anything. I just like dealt with the pain instead. If that makes sense.
I mean, I don't know what
Like it
Blair
wasn't
White's
even worth trying
position.
to fight
Go
for
ahead.
a refill.
Hmm. Yeah, it's a lot harder nowadays. But I don't know what Blair White's position on this is, but a lot of women, regardless if they had a sex operation or not, are going to feel very uncomfortable. I know there's some women in the audience that I've talked to before that have they have one coworker. I don't know if they had the operation or not, but for the sake of the argument, we'll say they had the operation. It makes them feel very, very uncomfortable that they have to share a bathroom with like a transgender woman. What do you think like the solution to something like that would be? Or do you think geez, we just have to allow it? There's nothing we can do.
The bathroom solution, in my opinion, I'm sorry, men, but you got to take one for the team and just have your bathroom that's like whatever, and the girls' bathroom could stay the girls because they're the ones who like can get victimized from like a rapist in the bathroom. Most men got a fighting chance, dog. So like if the possible perpetrators got to go into one bathroom, come on, let's put them in the one where people have a defense, a natural defense, you know.
Yeah, no, I agree with you 100%. But what do you think about like Blair White saying, sorry to keep talking about Blair White, but Blair White's the only conservative transgender person I can think of. So I would just like to make some statements and comparisons. What do you think about Blair White saying that Blair White is a transgender woman but biologically a man? Would you say the same thing for you, or would you disagree with that statement?
I 100% agree.
Well,
DNA
I
test me,
guess,
dog. It will say male. You know what I'm
huh?
saying? I said if you DNA test me, it will say male. You know, if you prick my shit. If it don't, then shit, I got something to know. You know, I'm learning something at that point.
Here we go. Sosa says, "How are you trans and conservative?"
Well, why would you transition to get at liberal men, dog? What, you want weak ass dudes? Explain to me, okay? Anyone who's like, oh, I transitioned to like be liberal and in these liberal circles, man, the last liberal dude I knew that was trying to be a big man, he was the mafia guy. And he was terrible. Like I would never date him. And yeah, like a majority of liberal dudes, they don't provide. That shit's like 50-50. And it's like, I'm a transition and go 50-50. No, the fuck? No way. Like the health system is pouring way too much resources into my 5'3" ass to be a woman for you to not provide. You know what I mean? And that's basically one of the main reasons I am conservative because like liberal dating culture is butt. And then cities, liberals fucking wreck cities. We've been like on all these tangents, but I am an urban like political person. I center around city stuff, if that makes sense. Like I remember one stream I was talking about the BQE, and for real, that's gonna be the 9/11 of urban design. Mandami's being a fucking terrorist for real,
What the
because
hell
he's
is the
not doing shit about
BQE?
it. It's the Brooklyn Queens Expressway. It's a section of interstate that was supposed to just like be built, but then the people there were like, "No, you can't build it through here." So the government was like, "What if you own it?" And they're like, "Okay, we won't own and pay for every bit of it as long as we could put a park on top." And the government was like, "Okay, but we got to fix it in 50 years, like every like structure ever." And then 50 years came, and then New York City was like, let's just kick the can down the road. And they've been doing that for like 20 years. And at this point, they had to do a lane reduction. It was a 3 lane in either direction. They reduced it to 2 lanes because it can't take the weight of this stop and go traffic. The trucks aren't even allowed on the side, like the shoulder. You think if a truck breaks down, you could park it on the shoulder. No, like this thing is absolutely deteriorating and falling apart. And I figured out a quick solution that'd be like a few million straight up, just a couple beams, a little bit of asphalt, and some paint. And I bet I could fix it. But Mom Dami's just sitting there like, And the truth is that like there's some people that are willing to, because what's going to happen when it collapses is people are going to die, right? So how many vehicles can fit on that thing in either direction? Okay, well, take that many people, let's take a third of them, right? So if you could fit 90 vehicles in each direction, let's take a third of them and let's half it, okay, just for argument's sake. That's
What do you
still
think
30 people.
about shit, I forget what I was gonna say. Oh yeah, what do you think about that one lady? What's her name? Ashley something. The one that was running for Maine senator. I don't know if you've seen the videos, but it was a transgender woman running for Maine senator. They were a Democrat socialist, and they said that they get their menstrual cycles through their anus.
That's TMI, first of all. All right, I'll explain it a little bit, but like, yo, what? Okay, so what they're talking about is like when you be taking the hormones, especially when you OD on the hormones, which is what most trannies do on purpose to speed up the transition, um, you get cycles, which is like where you get like period symptoms, but you don't have a period. But the thing about the cycle is if you get discharge from the back end, it's like it's a sign you got a bad pH balance. It's a sign that you might have gotten a bacterial infection. It's a sign that something is wrong because you're supposed to have soft cycles, like any girl, right? You're supposed to, um, like, I guess maybe you're not supposed to because it's trans, but like the normal biological female body without all the preservatives, pesticides, chemicals, GMOs, whatever, it's gonna have softer periods than what we experience nowadays, and that's because like that's how it's meant to be. So the fact that that person was having such a rough fucking cycle says like they're doing masculine activities that are interfering with their transition. Like that's a big reason I quit the mafia is because like they had me like trying to like play security for the store while I was up front because they started getting robbed hella. So people would come in and rob them with the gun, and I'd have to like rob them back and be like, mm-mm. And it was just so
So
awkward,
how the
so
hell did the
bad for my
cops never
hormones.
get called?
It's St. Louis.
So people are
Cops.
just robbing each other every day and nothing happens. There's no cameras. There's no calling of the police. No one shot at you in the store.
Not unless you live on a block where you pay for the private police. There's public and private. Public doesn't really do
What the
much.
hell is private police?
Um,
You mean private security? What private police is there?
it's called St. Louis Finest. It's a security force that only hires off-duty police officers so that they legally can do everything a police force can do without being required to be accountable to the taxpayer.
Well, that's
So if you're
crazy.
within the city limits, there's just no law. Unless you're on a rich block, then there is law. But I lived
So
in the
were you
Central
in the
West End
mob
off
or
of
just a mob associate? Isn't there like an initiation process or is this just some kind of
just an
organized crime?
associate.
Like
Just an
what
associate.
mafia is this? Because mafia doesn't really deal with drugs as far as, I know about at least. I've never heard of it. They're mostly doing like gambling and stuff like that. Or that's at least what some people in the chat said, and that's also at least what I heard online. I'm not exactly a mafia expert.
Mafia in St. Louis, it's like not a specific mafia. When the RICO charges hit Chicago, St. Louis just was like too poor to even hit with a RICO charge. They didn't even care. So like all the OGs here, they just kind of like they got old and like moved into real industry. So it's kind of funny. Like I don't know. Sorry, what were we saying? That was off topic.
No, no, you're good. Let's see. Is there any comments I want to read? Someone said you should hire those police. You
I
should
should
have
hire the
the
police.
mafia should have hired those police.
That, that's smart as hell. I should tell them that.
I mean, do you still work at that place or no?
No, I straight up went to boss man and I was like, look, I can't be doing this. Like I'm trans, fucking with my hormones, and like I'm not coming back if that's all right. And he's like, yeah, that's cool because you're trans, basically. You get an easy out of the mafia because we're liberals. And I was like, all right, whatever. I'll take it. I'll fucking take it, dude.
I've also never heard of a mafia leader watching Hassan Piker or being a Democrat.
All day, all day long. It was so insufferable. And like he'd pause it to like try and discuss it with you, and he was always trying to make everyone there like be Democrats so hard. And I kind of had to put my channel on like on low key mode for a while I was working there because like I couldn't get outed as a Republican at work if I ever like even
You
said anything
you
like.
have like I saw you have a YouTube channel, but are you like streaming on there? Are you posting videos? Are you active on social media?
Yeah, I'm active. So check me out, you guys. It's called The Urban Conservative on YouTube. And I mainly just specialize in city stuff because that's what my life has always been centered around. Like the story of my life, it's the city, the things in the city. I
Where
came
did you
from a
live in
city where the
Colorado?
cake.
Was it a major city?
Initially, I lived in Longmont, Colorado, which is where I became an urban conservative because Longmont was supposed to be a boom city. And I had this freeway, it's called the Diagonal Highway. It was supposed to be I-270. But then, like, in the 60s, the most unholy political union occurred in Boulder, Colorado. The KKK and hippies, like flower wearing, acid dropping hippies, they teamed up. Okay. And they said I 270 is not happening in Longmont because it was going to pass through Boulder. And fucking Longmont died because of it. And the liberals were like, well, it's going to segregate um, Boulder in half. And then the KKK was like, we don't want to be connected to the Mexicans in Greeley. And it's like, how did you guys pull this off? Like, Longmont is poop. It's absolutely toast now, the entire economy, because of the most unholy union in the 60s. And that's what made me an urban conservative because, like, yo, fuck the KKK. Fuck the hippies, man. I just wanted
Well,
a
when was the
job
last
and a
time you ever
family.
heard of the KKK shooting a black person or doing any kind of violence towards the black people? Because I don't think it's really a problem like that anymore.
I ain't never heard of it, but like I said, all they do is just shoot white people in the foot.
The KKK shoots white people in the foot?
I'm just saying that their own people, man. Like because they canceled that freeway, Boulder and Longmont both kind of dropped into poverty, and Boulder's barely holding on by being a college town. But they used to be industrial powerhouses before the interstate system. So it's just hilarious. Like they shot themselves in the foot. Now they can't they can't work real jobs. Can't have 4 kids like they wanted. Fucking goofballs.
Wait,
I
I'm
don't
not
know.
following.
It's
Is
very
it because
silly.
they were KKK members or what? What was the thing?
I'm just saying that the KKK cancels the freeway, okay? And then because the freeway doesn't exist, the city falls out of economic relevance. And then they're sitting around like, why did I become white trash? Why am I poor trailer trash now? Like,
And
you did it to yourself.
if your old boss was part of the mafia, he was also listening to Hassan Piker. Was he Muslim or was he originally from an Arab country or what is his ethnic roots?
He's
Because now I'm
Italian.
curious. He's
He's
Italian.
Julie, come on, type Italian. But he's ginger. That's the funniest part. He's a ginger Italian.
Well,
You
that's
couldn't make this shit
interesting.
up.
What do you think about the
It was,
Iran war? Thumbs up. You like the
I
Iran
mean,
war?
I, I want America to be on top. Simple as. And Iran is building better freeways than us. So fucking take them shits out so we can build better freeways,
What do you
okay?
mean
So that
Iran
like
is building
we're at
better
the
freeways than us? I don't think that's true at
yo,
all. What
no, look on the
freeways?
Google Earth, yo, they got
It's like a
crazy freeways.
desert. Like what
That's
crazy
how they've been getting the
freeways?
Strait of Hormuz. That's how they've been
Huh?
getting the Strait of Hormuz. They have a freeway right next to it that connects to an urban area, but it's an international zone freeway so that like Americans can't police that freeway basically, but they are allowed to just go from the city to the water. Like, and there's nothing we could do to stop them. And now they have a big 4-lane divided expressway that's grade separated to connect every single part of nearby urban areas to the Strait of Hormuz. No wonder they have an infinite supply of fucking kayakers coming at us with AKs. They got the infrastructure, dog. So that's what I'm saying. Bomb the shit out of the infrastructure. When Trump was like, we're taking out all their bridges, I was sitting in my room like, sorry, sorry.
Yeah, it does say they have a 24 they have a 1500 miles of multi-lane controlled access freeway. That's crazy. I can't lie. That's
And the thing
insane. I
about
had no idea.
the freeway is crazy because it also does cargo transportation. When liberals are like, light rail is the solution to everything, it's not because it doesn't cover cargo. And most countries, except for specific European countries, private rail cargo networks. So every liberal that's like, well, the fucking rail line would replace everything just fine. No, your bloodline would never be allowed to step foot in the private owned rail yard that's in your town. Only the business owners could. The business owners whose business owner or whose parents like were business owners that operated with these old money corporations that like have you ever tried to ship something with Pacific Railroad?
Nope.
My point exactly. That shit is nowhere near USPS or just throwing that shit in a box truck and driving your ass there. All right. So that's why every country that has a freeway system instead of a public access rail network is on top right now because freeways are also faster. Like, tell me any other country that has a high, like, that would have a cargo transportation the size of a semi that goes 70. Rail lines don't do that. They go 45, 65 max. And that's if you're on a passenger Amtrak. So, of
Yeah, I think we
course,
have. I mean, I
you're
don't
on.
know, but you seem to know a lot about this. But I think we do like the way we do it. Isn't it faster than a lot of other countries? These were doing the interstate highway system.
Well, it allows us to get goods internationally from the port to your house like that without trading hands. When it trades hands, like when it switches from ship to port to interstate, that's only three hands switching. But back in the day when we were reliant on the railroads and our fucked up arterials, it would have been like, it goes to the port, it goes to, or sorry, the ship, the port, the local arterial, the rail yard, another yard, another local arterial, then the actual service, the distribution service, and then to your house. So that's 3 versus 8 steps, and that's why we're on top logistics wise, and China's also on top logistics wise. Same with Taiwan, and same with Israel, because it's like we got freeways, dog. The shit is gold.
How do you feel about Israel in general? Because you've made a couple comments about it that makes me think that you're liking it. I mean, you know me, I'm pro-Israel or whatnot, but not all Trump supporters are, and not all MAGA is, and not all Trump supporters are.
Yeah, so it's so complicated for everyone, but for me, it's kind of simple. Like, Israel is not committing a genocide, and it's an urban design issue because it's like it's a zoning issue, right? Okay, because like this is, I'm gonna have to bust out the whiteboard for this, right? But this is like a normal fucking city block, right? You got the arterial, right? Okay, you got like businesses on one side of the arterial. You got military logistics on the other side of the arterial. If you live in a military town, this shit's familiar as fuck. And you got streets that go back into either like a gridded with residential units or like suburbs with some nice cul-de-sacs. But those also have residential units. And the big thing, we started doing this after World War II, and every other country started doing this too, is we separate our fucking military and logistics infrastructure from where our residents live, especially where they go to like school or the hospital, for example. It might be nearby, but it won't be right next to it for a very good reason. Now let's go to Palestine. Let's see how they zone their shit, right? So in Palestine, they don't really have arterials. They just kind of have one main roadway. And then they got like 5/1 buildings, but it's not like a traditional American 5/1. It'll be like this bottom level is like logistics and warehousing. Okay. And this middle level will be education and like a small clinic. And then the top level is just a bunch of different houses, basically, right? So, in order to wage war against Palestine, you have to take out the whole 3D super block. They're basically doing Barcelona super blocks in a 3D style with integrating military and logistics. So,
Oh, you really like
The only
Barcelona's architecture? What do you think about that? Because I used to live there for almost 2 years.
So you know then these motherfuckers are making super blocks of military at the bottom. Simple as.
Also, someone
Like
dropped a super chat. They want to know, do you shop at Hot Topic or where do you shop?
Timu, all right. I know it's all Chinese and shit, but like, listen, this is my
Everything is
reasoning.
Chinese.
All
Let's
right.
be honest here. Everything is Chinese with every clothing, either China,
Yeah,
Vietnam, or I don't know.
that's another big reason that I'm conservative. I think we should make our own shit. That's why everything is shit because it's made by slaves in another country that don't give a shit about you or me. You know, they just don't give a shit about not getting whipped or dying. Okay, so every single thing we're gonna get is just going to be absolute shit. Every single product, because no one is designing it or manufacturing it like with love in their hearts for the American people. Like I could just grab fucking anything. Probably not my makeup, but like this brush, for example.
China.
Before globalization, this shit would have genuinely had wires in each of these. It would have probably not been this level of just plasticky, if that makes sense. And
It'll
even though it's
probably
meant
be
to
like made
spread,
out of animal products. Probably like I don't know. Maybe the brush will have horsehair or like horns from an animal or horns from a bull or something like that. I don't know.
exactly, exactly. And yeah, basically the I'm not saying we should go back to caveman era or anything like that, but I'm saying that like if we made this shit, this would be way high quality or way more high quality plastic. I'd be able to get customer service on this thing, like the whole nine, if that makes sense. And like a really good one is a fucking epilator. If there's any trans girls in the audience, all right, very rare probably. Buy yourself a goddamn epilator, all right. Ain't nobody
What
want
the
to see
hell
your
is an
5 o'clock
epilator?
shadow. An epilator is, matter of fact, I'm be right back. I'm be right back because this is so
Okay, you're
important to
good. You're
trans
good.
conservatism.
If y'all got any questions or comments, I got about 5 to 10 minutes left. So drop some super chats. We're here to answer all of them. Or if Celia wants to stop hating on me.
Gotta end so many trans people in existence. I'm so sorry, but yo, if you got a 5 o'clock shadow, you slacking, all right? You're destroying society with that 5 o'clock shadow.
I
Okay,
know
you
someone
got
that
no
has a sex
excuses.
change and they don't bother to get rid of their 5 o'clock shadow.
That's ruining society, dog. Okay, so this is called an epilator. All right, it's about $60, and it has infinite uses. It has ceramic blades that rotate, but they don't cut. What they do is they pinch together, right? So as it pinches, it's like a million tiny tweezers about half a millimeter away from your skin, clamping and pulling super quick. So it goes, and you just on your legs or whatever, and straight up, you will not have a shadow for 48 hours if you just use this every day in the morning, like 2 minutes. Like, so if you get kidnapped, you won't expire for 24 hours. Because that's another thing. All these liberal trans girls be expiring, yo. Their lace be fucked up and the fucking shadow all out there and shit. Like, yo, come on, get yourself together. You're making us all look bad.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, if you're gonna go through the effort to do a freaking sex change operation and you're gonna spend $25,000 to have your wiener removed, but you're not going to spend $60 to get rid of your 5 o'clock shadow, that literally makes no sense to me.
That's what I mean by like, oh, you're ending society. Like, I'm transitioning because it's kind of clear that like I serve a better societal role as a woman than as a man. Um, and I feel like a lot of other like trans people, it's the opposite. Like they're transitioning just to spite society sometimes, and that's just like nihilistic. It makes me mad because like you don't like society. What, have you no ambition, no aspirations? You don't want to see cool things. Like, what about the space race? Why did everyone forget about space?
Elon Musk is still doing the space race. Did you see what's happening in Spain with all those illegal alien immigrants pouring in? Since we already talked about, how Barcelona a little bit, so I figured we'd hop back into that. And I got about 5 or 10 more minutes, but it was nice having you on. It's just getting late, but I'd like to hear about your thoughts on the Spain situation with those 80,000 Moroccans just invading in.
It's toast, man. I mean, 80,000. There ain't no way you could call them migrants. Like,
I mean, that's just in one day. I think it's a. I mean, 80,000 people don't just show up somewhere coincidentally on one random day. It was a collaborated invasion.
what did Spain do? I'm kind of worried. Did
We got
Spain kick
another
them out?
super
Did they say
chat.
go back?
This super chat reads: Has she been compared to Jeffree Stars? No disrespect, but you look similar.
Listen, just because I got green hair, don't mean I'm anything like that motherfucker. All right,
What, you don't like
just chill.
Jeffree
All right, but
Stars? I don't think Jeffree Stars is trans.
yes, he's an awesome person. That's like, but like, if you want me to say if I like him as a trans person, no. But like, if I
Is
like
he
him
a
as a
trans
person,
person or is he
yeah.
just a femboy? I'm kind of confused on that because I've watched multiple things that he's put out about trans issues. He said that he's a man, his sex is a man, but I mean nowadays that could maybe he thinks his gender changed. I don't know. I don't keep up with him like that.
Honestly, I don't know because like he had some allegations and like they sounded pretty legit. So that's when I stopped like even paying attention
Were
to
they
him.
kid
And
diddling
before that,
allegations or were they abuse allegations or what kind of allegations?
kid diddling allegations.
Say that
Is
again. Kid
the
diddling allegations.
yeah, it was like a video saying that like he was messaging like his teen fans and stuff, like especially back in the day. Um, and that was like really suspect to me. And then the other thing is like I can't tell if he's trans or not, but like if he is trans, he's not passing, which I
The
don't like.
chat says he's
And
just gay.
yeah, yeah. Honestly, it's just the eyebrows. Like if he redid his eyebrows, I would love him. It's just that something about his thin eyebrow look lately. I'm not fucking with it. I don't know.
I mean, I'm not really a fan of him in general, but I saw his car collection. That's pretty much the only thing I kind of compliment. I like that. Even though they're pink, yeah, you guys are gonna say, "Oh, pink." Well, yeah, give me a break. It's pretty cool looking cars, regardless. And I think they're all different colors, but most of them are like pink. Like I think all of his cars are pink. But that
I think
Rolls
that's a
Royce with the with
stereotype
paint, yeah, I think so too. But the
that
Rolls
like
Royce with the
femboys
pink
have
and the
nice
white
cars.
wheels. I thought you were saying it was a stereotype that men can't like pink.
Oh, that too, I guess.
I'm not gonna say that it would be
Yeah,
my first color of choice, but I like the pink car with the white rims, with the Rolls Royce, the Cullinan, and he doesn't just have a nice car collection. Like I think he has like 20 freaking cars. It's ridiculous. Multi millionaire. All off what? Like I don't know, making YouTube videos about being gay, I guess, and putting makeup on and dressing.
and you cannot diss that, not one bit. That's why I had to revert to the eyebrow comment. I was like, that's the only thing I could concretely diss about the dude. It's like, yo, let me do your eyebrows, Jeff.
They're telling me men can't like pink, Euro. Not at all, not even a little bit. Well, I'm not gonna dive in deep into this, but you know what? Something is pink that men like. You can use your imagination on that. I'm not gonna say. Yeah, there's a little bit of a gross and inappropriate comment, but I'm not gonna say too much. That was probably crossing a line. I probably shouldn't have said that. They're gonna post that all over social media. But no, no, I just had a crack. It's just a joke, guys. Just a joke. Everybody, calm down. I'm waiting for some comments. Pink is my
Let's see what
favorite
they gotta
color.
say.
I ain't looking at the toast beef. Oh my god. I'm not looking at the toast beef. Yeah, that's a wild comment.
Well,
So did you
I should
vote
probably
for?
go.
Oh yeah, yeah. I'll let you go. But final question: you did vote for Trump in 2024, right? Like, I'm pretty
Yeah,
convinced that you're not
yeah.
bullshitting me. I mean, also you have that American flag behind you. I don't think Democrats normally have like an American flag behind them like that. But here, let me ask them one more thing. Just give me another minute if you don't mind. Do you guys have any final questions, comments, or super chat questions and comments before we hop out of here? I want to hear something interesting. It's the
Um,
leftists who do the hating and influence murder. I agree on that. But also, I think it's kind of ironic that a Republican or a MAGA person like me trying to hang out with a group of homosexuals, I would get more rejected. I would get rejected faster than if a trans person or a homosexual would come into a conservative or Republican circle. They would be more welcoming and more accepting towards the person versus a straight MAGA person trying to go over into an LGBTQ group and try to get accepted.
exactly, and that's my whole life basically. Because try going to a liberal friend group and talking about freeways. It's over. They hate you forever because they're all brainwashed. Because the Dutch threw like fucking 50 million at foreign influence. Like I think it was like 3 years ago during their last or two administrations ago, the Dutch government genuinely threw a bunch of money at like urban YouTubers to promote bike lanes, but nothing else. So like, and then they threw money at politicians that were like voting to tear out highways and replace and not replace them with anything. So it'll be like, get rid of your interstate because we'll get bikes, but then you go and vote for the guy and he just gets rid of your interstate. Like it was just a clear psyop from the Dutch government to just kind of get us to shoot ourselves in the foot, and it fucking worked. And I'm so sick of it. I can't do it. Like I cannot hear a liberal talk about rail lines or any of that. Mm-mm.
What about bike lanes? What's so bad about bike lanes? Barcelona has some pretty nice bike lanes.
Bike lanes are good, but they are an accessory to be used in conjunction with a real infrastructure. Because you can't fucking build a cargo economy off of bike lanes. You can't fucking commute to fucking a high paying job off of bike lanes from a low income fucking community. So just prioritizing bike lanes is just prioritizing segregation and fucking and piss poor economies of bike trailers. Like what can you put on a bike trailer? All right, that's your whole business now basically. When you start like prioritizing bikes over freeways, over rail lines, over public roadways, it's yeah, no bikes.
Did you get a chance to vote for Trump in 2020 and in 2024? Final question,
In
I'll let you go.
2024 I voted Trump, right? In 2020 I was actually a Democrat back then, and I voted for Buttigieg, okay, in like the Democrat race. But then he got like finessed by Biden, and I was just coming out of my youth at that time as well, from a blue family. So like, I didn't even know that red was like a choice. And I also, I didn't like Trump at the time because my family taught me not to. Um, so yeah, I was like, well, I got to do Democrat, and I picked Pete because he had like a really solid campaign on infrastructure and social programs. Him and Vivek Ramaswamy just have like carbon copy fucking campaigns. So
Vivek
like,
Rashami, I actually like him, but my only problem with him is he wants to import a bunch of Indians to take our jobs, and I think those jobs should go towards Americans first before it goes to foreigners coming into our country. But it was
listen,
nice. It was nice. You go ahead. What were you gonna say?
I was gonna make a joke. I was gonna be like, I forgot. Never mind.
No, you're
I
good. It
felt my
was
brain.
nice
I'm a little
for
tired.
you coming on. But maybe next time you can come
Yeah,
on like during the day so we can get more people in here asking questions because I'd like for you to come on another time if you're available, you're around.
yeah, it was awesome. I'm happy I was able to come on tonight.
Oh yeah,
I'm
they want to
happy
hear your
everyone's
handle by the way. They want you to shout out your channel one more time.
my channel is called The Urban Conservative on YouTube. If you just search up Urban Conservative, it's either the first or second result. You'll see me in the picture.
Yeah, you popped right up for
Currently,
me.
my video, huh?
You popped right up when I typed in urban conservative.
Yeah, yeah. My current long form video that I'm trying to promote, it's just a super cheap and simple Y interchange proposal in downtown St. Louis that would completely desegregate the city and integrate it and do what the liberals failed to do for 80 years.
So you think it's still segregated?
Oh, it's bad. It's bad. It's so bad. I lived in the West End when I first moved here because that's like one of the only districts that like mixed race couples are even allowed. And I'm in the suburban version of that district right now. Because, like, fuck, I don't want to limit myself to one race dating around. Hell no. What the fuck? Just less fish in the sea. What the fuck?
So what
And,
you
and
can't live in an all white you can't live in a white neighborhood and date a black person or date a Hispanic person?
yeah,
Really?
it's a little
Isn't that
weird. Well,
against the law?
you could date a Hispanic person. Yeah, it's against the law, but you'll get evicted, you'll lose your job, blah 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 blah. Basically, South City of St. Louis is a sundown town for black people. Do not go if you're black at night, right? North
That
City
is
is a sundown
wild.
town for white people. Do not go up there if you're white. The bullshit though is that the currency exchange, the only currency exchange in the fucking city is in the black section. Okay, this motherfucker, I was trying to sell him some weed. He gave me 100 pesos, or no, sorry, $100 worth of pesos, and it was only like a $20 fucking bag of weed. So I'm like, okay, like I just got this from the dispo, and you're just giving me this. This is perfect. So I go to the currency exchange. No, they refused me service, not because I'm trans, but because I'm white. I was like, are you fucking serious right now? Like,
Can't you just say that you're transracial? That's also a thing if you look it up, but most people think it's bull crap. But that's going down a whole nother rabbit hole, a whole nother
all
topic.
right, I don't consider myself transracial because, like, I don't believe in that, but a transracial person would consider me transracial, if that makes sense. Because I live in a mostly black section, and, like, my whole family converted to, like, black oriented culture since, like, '08,
What
basically.
do you mean black
Uh,
oriented culture? Like they're like watching hip hop MTV videos and playing like the newest rappers out there and they're like eating like Kentucky fried chicken or like I don't know, something like that, like watermelon and grape soda. Like what does that even mean?
Basically, like, moving to a black area, trying to contribute to, like, black businesses, learning all, like, the integral parts of culture, like hair, for example. Like, I wear weave, my mom wears dreads, right? My dad does like a clean shaved bald, but all three of those are like considered like black styles. And then, for example, like my way of talking has definitely changed since '08, 110%. And that's really just kind of when we started making the change, I would say, is around then. Like '08 to 2012 is just kind of, I mean, pop culture was all
I
black
don't know.
back then.
Speaking
So
in
it's,
Ebonics isn't really too conservative. I'm not saying that you are, but I'm saying for people out there that speak in Ebonics, it's not. I don't know. It's just not too. It's not too much of an intelligent way to live your life. I know there are black people out there that do speak like "Yo, bro" or however the fuck. I don't even know how to really intimidate it. But you know what I mean. Like I don't know. It's just kind of frowned upon in general as conservatives. But that's just my opinion.
yeah, I remember I did like one video. It was like a short, and it was like a positive short with a good joke, but I said it in Ebonics, and like one of my longtime subscribers, I didn't realize was like an old white dude, and he messaged like a whole paragraph, like, "Young man turning into a young lady can't be using Ebonics in this purple sweater because that is going to run you into poverty." Like with this,
No, it really is true. Like Ebonics is a massive thing that keeps black people held down from job opportunities and other opportunities.
I would say 100%, but if you do short form content, Ebonics is just the way to go.
Oh no, it'll
Like,
be. I
simple.
mean, it'll get you views. I'm sure. I mean, I'm not. I don't doubt that one bit. I mean, if it gets a couple thousand views, you're gonna have black people in your comment section saying you're not black, or and they're gonna give you a lot of attention. So no, that's definitely a marketing thing. I don't deny that at all.
I don't sling the N word around though. That's one thing I can't and will not
Yeah,
do.
yeah, that's extremely distasteful. And also, you're pretty much asking for your ass to get, kicked at that point.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and just why would you? It's not your place. It's not a conservative thing to do to say that to someone, even if you're using it as a term of endearment. I think the only appropriate way to say it is like if it's
Don't
your
say it. Don't
ex
say it.
dude
Yeah.
and he's not black. Like he has to be like a white dude. And then you could
All right.
say
Yeah.
that in past tense, you know? It's the only
I would
time you're
probably.
allowed
I don't
to.
know. I don't know. One time, this one guy with like 360,000 subscribers told me. He said you can't. I called him. I said the F word. And I said, what else did I call him? I called him a couple other things, and then he said, "Yo, you can't." He said you can't use the F word. I was using it as an example of something. I don't even remember. Like I was giving him a made up scenario, and he said, "Yo, you can't use the F word." And then I started cursing him out, saying all kinds of shit, every single word you can think of, F word, N word, M word, any kind of word that you can think of. I said it to him, and then he made a whole video about it, saying that he banned me from collaborating with him. But he was a huge libtard anyway. He's an atheist, and he's a massive libtard, and he runs his entire business off like he runs like a massive YouTube channel, and he owns like 20 other Democrat content creators channels.
Johnny Pomodessa, was it Johnny
No, no,
Pomodessa?
no, not Johnny Parmadessa. Johnny has like 60,000 subscribers, I think. But this guy has 360,000. I'm not gonna say his name. I'm not gonna say his name, but I can tell you off camera. But
I
I'll
called
send you
into
the video.
Johnny
You want me to send you the
Pomodessa.
video? Huh?
Yeah, yeah.
You called in to his show? What happened?
Yeah,
I've
I
been
called
trying to
into
debate
Johnny
him. I've been trying to debate him
I
for over a year.
um somehow he answered the phone, like the phone number thing, and then I answered and I'm like, "I'm trans Republican." And he's like, "No, you're not. You don't exist." And then I started like speaking and being like, passability is important to society, and he just hung up. He could not stand the idea that I existed. It was so great. He tried to own me
That's a
really
little bit
hard, but I
ironic.
I got
That's
like
a little bit
30
ironic.
subs out of that
They're
shit.
always they're always
Yes.
saying that transgender people. They're always saying Republicans say transgender people don't exist. I've never heard a Republican say that. I think they
Yeah,
exist.
I
I
have.
just don't think trans people are the same as natural born women, and I think even most trans people agree with that. I'm yet to find one that doesn't agree with it.
When you get into it as a trans person, you can't get acceptance in a Democrat group without being the pick me trans person. You can't have any like opposing opinions. Like if you don't support Palestine, like it's over for you. They won't treat you as trans anymore, if that makes sense. You get degendered if you don't sit with the status quo. It's like you don't like rail lines. We're not going to gender you correctly. Oh, you don't get along with Palestine? Like they are way meaner with it, if that makes sense. Cuz like they give the they give the gender whatever you want, like pass out immediately, but then they revoke it. Like if you do anything wrong, which I think it's way better to earn respect with someone before they give you the pass. Cuz like yeah,
100%, I agree. It's been a long stream. Have a good night, though. I hope to see you again on here. And final shout out to your channel, Urban Conservative, again.
Like and subscribe, you guys. This is
Thank you,
awesome. Thank
everybody.
you so much for having me
Have a good
on.
night. You're welcome. Thank you
Okay.
for coming on.